Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. In our last video, we treated the 2020 WAEC Economics GCE past questions, and today we are moving on to the 2021 questions. In this video, we will be tackling the first 20 questions, breaking them down with clear explanations so you can understand not just the answers but the reasoning behind them. Grab your notes, stay focused, and let's dive right in. Question 1. Economic resources are never enough because of dash. Economic resources are never enough because dash. A. Their production is low. B. They have alternative uses. C. The population of users is low. And D. Producers are not adequately rewarded. Let's look at the answer. The correct option is option B. They have alternative uses. That is, economic resources are scarce, and because they can be used for different purposes, there is never enough to satisfy all human wants. Question 2. Which of the following cannot be considered as economic activity by the economist? Which of the following cannot be considered as economic activities by the economist? A. The paid service provided by a barber. 2. That's B. Boots and shoes produced for sale. C. Putting up a private house near a market. And D. Selling vegetables grown in one's garden. The correct answer to this question is option C. Putting up a private house near a market. Explanation. Economic activities are actions done to earn income. So building a personal house for a private use is not an economic activity, since it is not meant for profit purpose. Next question. Steel used in the construction of bridges can be considered as dash. Steel used in the construction of bridges can be considered as dash. A. A consumer good. B. An intermediate good. C. A natural resource. D. A renewable resource. The correct answer to this question is option B. An intermediate good. That is, steel used in bridge construction is not for final consumption. It is an input used to produce other goods or services. Let's go to the next question. Question 4. Consumer sovereignty is completely regulated in a dash. Consumer sovereignty is completely regulated in a dash. Option A. Market economy. Option B. Socialist economy. Option C. Barter economy. And option D. Mixed economy. The correct answer to this question is option B. Socialist economy. Explanation is that in a socialist economy, the government makes production decisions. So consumer control over production is limited or is highly restricted based on what government produces. Next question. Question 5. Here we have a chart, a pie chart that shows the number of students or the number of subjects in a class. Number of subjects offered by different number of students. We have mathematics, economics, physics, chemistry, and biology. When you look at the question very well, you can see that if you look at the chart rather, you see that the chart have been drawn into different angles, and we have the angles. When we look at this chart, now let's look at the question that follows. If the number of students is 1080, how many students study biology? How many students study biology? Option A, 90. Option B, 180. Option C, 270. And option D is 450. Correct answer is C. Why? Well, now let's look at when we look at this total number of students in this class is 1080. And the number of students that studies mathematics, physics, chemistry, and economics can be calculated using the degree given to us in the question. And looking at that question, biology has 90 degree. So with that, we're going to do it this way in such a way that 90 to calculate number of students that study biology is going to be 90 over 360 times 1080. If you press your calculator, you see that the answer there is 270. Next question. All right. Question 6. If an increase in the price of a commodity from $10 to $14 made quantity demanded to fall from 100 units to 80 units, demand is dash. A. Fairly price elastic. B. Unitary price elastic. C. Perfectly price inelastic. And D. Fairly price inelastic. The correct answer is D. Fairly price inelastic. The reason is that elasticity of demand is calculated as the percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. Now, if you look at the change in quantity demanded, we can see that there is a difference of 20 between the old unit, which is 100, and new unit, which is 80. So you're going to have 20 over 100, which is the old unit, times the percentage, which is 100, and that gives us 20. Now, for price, the difference between the old price and new price is 4. And 4 over 10, which is the old price, times 100 gives us 40. So that 20 divided by 40 gives us 0.5. And therefore, it is fairly inelastic because 0.5 is less than 1. Okay? Next question. If the demand for commodity P falls drastically because of an increase in the price of commodity Q, then commodities P and Q are dash. If the demand for commodity P falls drastically because of an increase in the price of commodity Q, then commodities P and Q are dash. A. Complements. B. Substitute. C. Normal goods. And D. Given goods. The correct answer to the question is option A. Complement. When the price of one good rises, the demand for another. When the price of one good rises and demand for another falls, they are complements, because the increase in price of one goods will make people who will have gone for that goods not to buy that goods. As a result of that, the goods that will have been used alongside with it will not be bought as well, and that will make demand for it to fall. Question 8. Demand for cassava as a result of demand for its product is a typical example of dash. A. Composite demand. B. Competitive demand. C. Derived demand. And D. Complementary demand. Correct answer is C. Derived demand. Cassava is demanded because products made from it are also in demand, are demanded for. Alright. Question 9. If a shoe seller reduces its price in order to increase its total revenue, the demand for its product is dash. A. Perfectly inelastic. B. Fairly inelastic. C. Fairly elastic. And D. Unitary elastic. The correct answer is fairly elastic. When lowering price raises total revenue, quantity demanded rises proportionally more than price falls. And so the correct answer is fairly elastic. Question 10. A movement along a supply curve shows a change in dash. A movement along a supply curve shows a change in dash. A. Supply of the commodity. B. The quantity supplied of the commodity. C. All the determinants of supply. And D. The techniques of production. The correct answer to the question is option B. the quantity supplied of the commodity. A movement along a supply curve occurs due to a price change affecting quantity supplied, not overall supply. So whenever there is a movement of a supply curve along a particular line, okay, when there is a movement of supply curve on a particular line, that is caused by price. Question 11. Other things being equal, the supply curve of a commodity dash. Other things being equal, the supply curve of a commodity dash. A can have a negative slope. B can make both negative and positive slopes. D slopes upward from the right to the left. And D slopes upward from the left to the right. The correct answer is D, slopes upward from the left to the right. A typical supply curve slopes upward from left to right, showing a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. Question 12. If the supply of a commodity is perfectly inelastic, then its supply curve dash. A is horizontal, B is vertical, D passes through the origin, and D slopes upward from the left to the right. The correct answer to the question is B, is vertical. A perfectly inelastic supply curves. A perfectly inelastic supply means quantity supplied is fixed irrespective of the price, and this represents a vertical line. A vertical line. Question 13. A rightward shift of the supply curve for a commodity is caused by dash. A rightward shift of the supply curve for a commodity is caused by dash. A. An improvement in the level of technology. B. A decrease in the price of its complements. C. A reduction in the price of the commodity. And D. A decrease in subsidy on the commodity. Correct option is A, an improvement in the level of technology. Better technology increases efficiency and output, shifting the supply curve to the right. Question 14. When more of a commodity is consumed, total utility dash. When more of a commodity is consumed, total utility dash. A. Decrease at an increasing rate. B. Increases at a decreasing rate. C. Increases at a constant rate. And D. Attains a maximum and becomes negative. The correct answer to the question is option B. It increases at a decreasing rate. So according to the law of diminishing marginal utility, total utility increases but at a decreasing rate as more is consumed. Question 15. Minimum wage legislation sets wages dash. Minimum wage legislation sets wages dash. A. Above the market equilibrium wage. B. Below the market equilibrium wage. C. Below those fixed by the trade union. And D. At the equilibrium wage rate. The correct answer to this question is option A, above the market equilibrium wage. Minimum wage laws set wages above the equilibrium to protect workers, which may cause surplus labor. Question 16. The demand and supply of a commodity are represented by the following functions. The demand and supply of a commodity are represented by the following functions. A. Quantity demanded equals to, your function, quantity demanded equals to 0.5p minus 3. Quantity supply equals to 0.2p, where p represents dollars. That is, p is the price, which is in dollars. Determine the equilibrium price. Let's look at the options. $30, B $10, C $3, and D $0.1. The correct answer is $10. How do we arrive at this $10? Looking at the demand function, demand and supply function. Demand function is given as 0.5p minus 3. That's our demand function. And supply function is given at 0.2p. And remember that equilibrium price is a price at which the quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So our QS equals to QD. So when you substitute this function into this formula, we are going to have 0.5p minus 3 equals to 0.2. And you collect like terms. When you collect like terms, you will have 0.5p minus 0.2p equals to 3. 0.5p gives us 0.3p equals to 3. So you divide both sides by 0.3. So our price, which is p, will be 3 over 0.3, and that gives us 10. So that is why we arrive at $10. Next question, 17. A large firm is able to invent new products and improve production techniques because it enjoys dash. A large firm is able to invent new products and improve production techniques because it enjoys dash. A. Welfare economics. B. Marketing economics. C. Managerial economics. And D. Research economics. The correct answer to the question is option D. Research economics. A large firm can finance research and development that leads to innovation and process improvements. So the correct answer is option D. Question 18. The scale of production of a firm is determined mainly by the dash. The scale of production of a firm is determined mainly by the dash. A. Scale of the entrepreneurs. B. Size of its factor input. C. Size of its market. And D. Cost of production of the firm. The correct answer is B. Size of its factor input. The scale of production depends on the quantity and size of resources that is being put into the production, that is available for production. So option B is the correct option. Question 19. As the marginal cost of a firm falls, the firm's dash. A. Average cost also falls. B. Average cost rises. C. Total fixed cost also falls. And D. Average variable cost rises. The correct answer to the question is option A. Average cost also falls. So when marginal cost is below average cost, that is falling, it pulls the average cost down. When marginal cost is below the average cost, it pulls down the average cost. So average cost also falls. That's option A. Question 20. Which of the following costs is zero when output is zero? Which of the following costs is zero when output is zero? Option A. Fixed cost. Option B. Implicit cost. Option C. Total cost. And option D. Variable cost. Correct answer to the question is option D. Variable cost. Variable cost is tied to the production levels. So if output is zero, variable cost will also be zero. Question 21. A firm producing shoes for a local market should shut down if the average revenue is dash. A firm producing shoes for a local market should shut down if the average cost is dash. A. Equal to the fixed cost. B. More than the fixed cost. C. Less than the average fixed cost. And D. More than the average variable cost. The correct answer to the question is option C. Less than the average variable cost. That is, a firm producing shoes for a local market should shut down if the average revenue is less than the average variable cost. So if price is less than AVC, which is our average variable cost, the firm cannot cover operating costs and they have no choice than to shut down in the short run. Question 22. A group of traders set up a partnership a group of traders set up a partnership, its membership is expected to be dash. A group of traders set up a partnership, its membership is expected to be dash. A. Between 2 to 20. B. Between 7 to 50. C. Very large. And D. Unlimited. The correct answer to the question is A. Between 2 to 20. By law, partnerships usually have between 2 to 20 members. Question 23. In which of the following business units can members freely transfer shares? In which of the following business units can members freely transfer shares? Option A, public corporations. Option B, public enterprises. Option C, public limited liability companies. And option D, private limited liability companies. The correct answer to the question is option C, public limited liability companies. So shares of public limited liability companies, popularly referred to as PLCs, are freely transferable on the stock market. Question 24. Which of the following may facilitate effective distribution of goods? Which of the following may facilitate effective distribution of goods? A. Construction of factories everywhere. B. Provision of adequate aids to trade. D. Direct distribution by the government only. And C. Employment of expatriates. The correct answer is option B. Provisions of adequate aids to trade. That is, which of the following may facilitate effective distribution of goods? The answer is provision of adequate aids to trade. What are the aids to trade? Transport, banking, insurance, and communication. These aids to trade that I mentioned, they support smooth distribution of goods from one place to another. And the last question for this question 25. Labor can be made more efficient by dash. A. Increased output level and incentives. B. Provision of incentives and training. C. Increased output level and education. D. Education and good weather. Correct answer is B. Provision of incentives and training. Efficiency improves when workers are motivated and provided with adequate training. With this, we've come to the end of our video. This is the first 25 questions of the 2021 Economic GCE, WAEC GCE. So I hope you have learned a lot and gained more confidence in tackling these types of questions. In our next video, we will cover the remaining 25 questions. So make sure you don't miss it.